Don't go to your brother's wedding. Check your wife's garage. I opened it, and my world fell apart. Love was supposed to be solid, unshakable, a promise carved into every day we spent together. Lena was my wife, my partner, my home, the mother of our daughter. We had a life filled with laughter, quiet mornings, and a little girl who lit up our world. Then the note came. 7 words, scratched in ink like a blade across my heart. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. My hands shook as I held it. The paper felt heavy, wrong. Inside, Lena was packing for the wedding, her voice soft, her smile warm. She kissed my cheek, talking about how perfect the weekend would be. But those words, check your wife's garage, burrowed into me, sharp and relentless. I didn't want to believe it. I fought against it. But doubt crept in, cold and unstoppable. So I opened the garage. And what I found, it wasn't just a lie. It shattered all I held true. Lena was my whole world, my everything. We'd been married for 8 years, and every day, I thought I knew her better than anyone. We had a daughter, Sophie, who was 5 years old and full of light. Her laugh could make a bad day disappear. We weren't perfect, not by a long shot. We argued sometimes about money, about time, about little things that pile up when you're building a life together. But we were solid. We were a team. At least, that's what I told myself. That's what I believed. My brother, Mark, was getting married in Napa Valley. It was a big deal, a huge celebration. Family was flying in from all over, cousins from Chicago, aunts and uncles from Texas, even my mom, who hadn't left her small town in years. Lena was so excited. She threw herself into planning every detail. She picked out my suit, ironed Sophie's flower girl dress, and made a playlist for the drive to the vineyard. She kept saying how perfect it would be, how it was a chance for us to make memories as a family. Her smile was so bright, so warm. It made me want to believe everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. Deep down, I felt it. Something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it, not at first. It was like a shadow in the corner of my eye, something you notice but don't want to look at. I kept telling myself I was just tired. Work had been hard, and Sophie's school schedule was a lot to juggle. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe I was looking for problems that weren't there. But then I started noticing things. Small things. Tiny cracks in the life we'd built. Lena's phone would buzz late at night, after we'd gone to bed. She'd grab it quick, turn the screen away, and say it was just a friend or a work email. I'd ask her about her day, and she'd give me short answers, her eyes darting away like she didn't want me to see something. One time, I saw her lock a drawer in her desk, something she'd never done before. When I asked about it, she laughed and said it was just old papers, nothing important. I brushed it off. I had to. I loved her. You don't question someone you love, not over little things like that. You tell yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, that you're making a big deal out of nothing. But those moments, those tiny cracks, they stuck with me. They piled up in the back of my mind, quiet but heavy, like stones in a bag you're carrying without realizing. I kept thinking about how things used to be. When we first met, Lena was like a spark. She'd walk into a room, and everyone noticed. She was funny, smart, always ready with a story or a joke. I fell for her fast, and when we got married, I thought I'd won the lottery. Even after Sophie was born, when life got harder, we were a team. We'd stay up late, talking about our dreams, planning for the future. A bigger house someday. A trip to Italy. A life we'd build together. But lately, those talks stopped. Lena was still there, still smiling, still kissing my cheek in the morning. But something was different. She was distant, like part of her was somewhere else, somewhere I couldn't reach. I didn't want to admit it, not even to myself. I kept telling myself it was stress, or maybe we were just in a rough patch. Every marriage has them, right? You push through. You hold on. Then the note came. It was a Tuesday morning, 2 days before Mark's wedding. I was out front, checking the mailbox like I always did. Bills, junk mail, the usual. But there was one envelope that didn't fit. Plain white, no return address, just my name written in black ink. I opened it, expecting some random flyer or maybe a late wedding invite. But inside was a single piece of paper, folded once. I unfolded it, and my heart stopped. 7 words. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. No signature. No name. No explanation. Just those words, sharp like a knife. They cut through everything. My trust, my love, my belief in us. I stood there, staring at the paper, my hands cold. Lena's voice floated out from the house, bright and cheerful. James, you ready for the rehearsal dinner? She called. Her voice was so normal, so warm, like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't changed. But the note in my hand, it wasn't normal. It wasn't warm. It was a warning, and it was screaming at me. I didn't say anything to her. I couldn't. Not yet. I shoved the note into my pocket and walked back inside, my mind racing. I kept thinking, this is a mistake. It's a prank. Some sick joke. Maybe someone was mad at Lena or at me. Maybe it was a neighbor with a grudge or a coworker playing a trick. I wanted to believe anything. Anything. Except the truth those words were pointing to. But they wouldn't leave me. Check your wife's garage. They echoed in my head, over and over, like a song you can't stop hearing. I tried to act normal. I smiled at Lena, nodded when she talked about the wedding, helped her pack Sophie's bag. But inside, I was falling apart. Those words were tearing me up, making me question everything. Why the garage? That was the part that didn't make sense. Lena never went in there. It was her space, sure, but she always said it was just for storage. Old furniture we didn't use anymore. Holiday decorations we dragged out once a year. Boxes of junk we meant to throw away, but never did. I hadn't been inside that garage in years. I didn't even have a key to the lock she'd put on it. She said it was to keep Sophie safe, to stop her from getting into anything dangerous. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But now I wasn't so sure. The note made me see everything differently. That locked door. Her late-night phone calls. The way she'd changed the subject when I asked about her day. Those tiny cracks I'd ignored, they weren't so tiny anymore. They were growing, spreading, breaking everything I thought I knew. I kept going back to the note. I'd pull it out when Lena wasn't looking, read it again, hoping the words would change. They never did. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. I wanted to throw it away, burn it, pretend I'd never seen it. But I couldn't. It was like the note was alive, whispering to me, daring me to find out the truth. I thought about confronting her, just walking into the kitchen, holding up the note, and asking, "What is this, Lena? What are you hiding?" But every time I tried, something stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Fear of what she'd say. Fear of what I'd find out. Or maybe it was hope. Hope that I was wrong, that there was an explanation, that our life wasn't a lie. So I didn't say anything. I kept the note in my pocket, close to my heart, like a secret I didn't want to carry. Lena kept planning, kept smiling, kept acting like everything was perfect. And I kept pretending I believed her. But those words, they were always there, waiting. I didn't know it then, but that note was the beginning of the end. It was the first step toward a truth I wasn't ready for. A truth that would break me. I kept thinking about the garage. Why would someone tell me to check it? What was in there that I wasn't supposed to see? Lena never talked about it, never went near it. At least, not that I knew. But now, I was starting to wonder. What if she was hiding something? What if the woman I loved, the mother of my daughter, was keeping secrets? I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to doubt her. But the note was in my pocket, and those words were in my head. Check your wife's garage. I couldn't ignore them anymore. I had to know. I had to find out what was behind that locked door. It was the night before my brother's wedding. The house was dark, quiet, like it was holding its breath. Lena was upstairs, asleep, or at least I thought she was. Sophie was at her grandma's, safe and happy, probably dreaming about being a flower girl. But me? I couldn't sleep. My mind was screaming, loud and messy, full of questions I didn't want to ask. That note, those 7 words, had been burning a hole in my pocket all day. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to know. I had to see what was behind that locked door. My heart was pounding, my hands sweaty, but I grabbed a flashlight and went outside. The air was cold, the kind of cold that sinks into your bones. I stood there, staring at the garage, telling myself to turn back, to go to bed, to forget the note. But my feet wouldn't move. I had to know the truth, even if it hurt. I pushed the garage door open. It creaked, loud in the quiet night, like it was warning me to stop. I turned on the flashlight, and the beam cut through the darkness. At first, it looked like nothing. Just a garage. Dusty boxes stacked against the walls. An old lawnmower in the corner. Shelves with paint cans and Christmas lights. Everything was normal, boring even. I almost laughed, thinking I'd been tricked. The note was a joke, right? Some stupid prank. I'd go back to bed, wake up tomorrow, and everything would be fine. But then I saw it. In the far corner, hidden behind a pile of boxes. A tarp. Big, bulky, covering something that didn't fit. It wasn't neat like the rest of the garage. It was uneven, lumpy, like it was hiding something important. My body became a prison of churning dread. I didn't want to go closer, but I couldn't stop myself. I had to know. I walked over, my flashlight shaking in my hand. The tarp was heavy, rough under my fingers. I hesitated, my breath stuck in my throat. What was under there? Why was it hidden? I told myself it was nothing, just more junk Lena forgot to mention. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. I grabbed the tarp and pulled it back, slow at first, then all at once. What I saw stopped my heart. It wasn't junk. It wasn't storage. It was a car. A sleek, black Mercedes, shiny and new, like it had just been driven off a lot. Not my car. Not Lena's car. At least, not the Lena I thought I knew. We didn't have money for a car like that. We drove a beat-up minivan, the kind with juice stains from Sophie's sippy cups. This car didn't belong here. It didn't belong to us. And that wasn't all. Inside the car, on the seats, in the trunk, were boxes. Dozens of them. Stacked neat, sealed tight, with labels written in black marker. Names I didn't recognize. Places I'd never heard of. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the flashlight. I didn't understand. Not yet. But I knew this was wrong. This was bad. I opened one of the boxes, my fingers clumsy, ripping the tape. Inside was cash. Stacks of it, bundled tight with rubber bands. More money than I'd ever seen in my life. I opened another box. Fake IDs, with names and faces I didn't know. Another box had burner phones, the cheap kind you throw away. And then I found it. A notebook, small and black, filled with pages of dates, numbers, and words that didn't make sense. Coded messages, maybe. Plans. I didn't understand. Not at first. My brain couldn't keep up. But I kept digging, opening box after box, each one a punch to my gut. Every piece of evidence was another knife in my chest. Cash. Passports. Phones. Plans. This wasn't just stuff. This was a secret. A big one. And Lena, my wife, the woman I loved, was at the center of it. She wasn't who she said she was. I sat there, on the cold garage floor, surrounded by her secrets. The flashlight was still on, its light bouncing off the car, making shadows that felt like they were mocking me. I didn't know how long I stayed there. Minutes. Hours. Time didn't matter anymore. All I could think about was Lena. Her smile. Her laugh. The way she'd tuck Sophie into bed and kiss her forehead. Was it all a lie? Was any of it real? I thought about the last few months. The signs I'd ignored. Her late nights at work, when she'd come home smelling like perfume I didn't recognize. Her sudden trips to visit family, even though she never called them when she was gone. Her phone, always locked, always out of reach. I'd ask her about it, and she'd laugh, say I was being silly, say she was just busy. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But now, those memories stung. They weren't just moments. They were clues. Lena wasn't just hiding something small, like an argument with a friend or a bad day at work. She was running something. A scheme. A whole life I wasn't part of. And I'd been blind. Too trusting. Too stupid to see the truth. I flipped through the notebook again, trying to make sense of it. The dates went back years. Some were recent, just weeks ago. The numbers, maybe money, maybe codes, were written in her handwriting. I knew it so well. The way she looped her letters, the way she pressed hard with the pen. It was Lena's. No mistake. I kept thinking about that car. Where did it come from? How did she pay for it? We weren't rich. We fought about bills, about saving for Sophie's school, about fixing the leaky roof. But here was this car, shiny and new, hidden under a tarp in our garage. And the boxes, cash, IDs, phones. This wasn't a hobby. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. Careful. Secret. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march upstairs, shake Lena awake, and demand answers. Who was she? What was this? Why did she lie to me? But I didn't move. I couldn't. My body felt heavy, like the truth was pinning me to the floor. Every box I'd opened, every page I'd read, was proof that my life was a lie. My marriage was a lie. The woman I loved was a stranger. I thought about Sophie, our little girl. Did Lena think about her when she was doing this? When she was hiding cars and cash and fake IDs? Did she care about what this would do to us? To our family? I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. How could someone love you, kiss you, build a life with you, and still keep secrets like this? I kept going back to the note. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. Whoever wrote it knew. They knew what Lena was doing. They knew she was hiding something big. But why tell me? Why now? Was it a warning? A threat? I didn't know. All I knew was that my world was falling apart, and I was sitting in the middle of it, holding a flashlight and a notebook full of lies. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but the tears wouldn't come. Maybe I was too shocked. Maybe I was too angry. All I could do was sit there, staring at the car, the boxes, the proof that everything I believed in was gone. Lena wasn't my wife. Not anymore. She was someone else, someone I didn't know. And I'd been too blind to see it. I don't know how I got up. I don't know how I turned off the flashlight and closed the garage door. But I did. I went back inside, quiet, like nothing had happened. Lena was still asleep, her breathing soft and steady. I stood in the doorway, watching her, wondering who she really was. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The truth was too heavy, too sharp. It cut through everything. My love, my trust, my hope. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, the note in front of me. It was crumpled now, worn from being folded and unfolded 100 times. Those words, "Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her," were burned into my mind. I didn't sleep last night. How could I? After what I found in the garage, my whole world was upside down. The car, the boxes, the cash, the fake IDs, the notebook full of secrets. Lena, my wife, wasn't who I thought she was. And now, I had to face her. She came into the kitchen, all smiles, like nothing was wrong. Her voice was bright, talking about the wedding, about Sophie being the flower girl, about how fun it would be. But to me, her voice was like glass, clear, pretty, but ready to break. I looked at her, really looked at her, and it was like seeing her for the first time. Not my wife, not the woman I loved. A stranger, someone I didn't know at all. I didn't smile back. I couldn't. My heart dragged in my chest, my whole body tensing against the lie. I just said, "Lena, we need to talk." My voice was calm, but it was cold, like ice. I didn't want her to see how much I was hurting. I didn't want her to know how bad it was. Not yet. She stopped smiling. I could tell she knew something was wrong. Her eyes got wide. Her hands fidgeted with her coffee mug. She asked what was going on, but I didn't answer right away. I just pulled out the note and slid it across the table. I didn't say a word. I let those words speak for me. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. I watched her face change. It was like a mask slipping off. Her smile was gone, her cheeks pale. She looked at the note, then at me, and I could see her mind racing, trying to figure out what I knew. I didn't give her time to guess. I laid it all out, slow and steady, every piece of her lie. The note that led me to the garage. The black Mercedes hidden under a tarp. The boxes full of cash, fake IDs, burner phones. The notebook with her handwriting, filled with dates and codes I didn't understand. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I wanted to, but I kept it inside. I wanted her to hear me, to feel the weight of what she'd done. I told her how I opened the garage door, how I found her secrets, how every box was a stab to my heart. I told her I didn't understand, not yet, but I knew she wasn't the woman I married. I knew she was hiding something big, something that didn't include me. She tried to explain. Her voice was shaky, her words tripping over each other. She said it wasn't what I thought. She said she was holding those things for a friend. A friend. That's what she called it. She said she didn't want to worry me, that it was no big deal, that I was blowing it out of proportion. She kept talking, piling on excuses, but I wasn't listening. Not really. Her words were empty, like air. A friend. That's what she said. But the notebook? The cash? The fake IDs? Those weren't favors for a friend. Those were a plan. A scheme. A whole life she was living behind my back. And I wasn't in it. I wasn't part of it. I was just the guy she came home to, the guy she lied to every day. The guy who thought he had a family. I pulled out the notebook, the one I'd found in the garage, and dropped it on the table. It landed with a thud, heavy like my heart. I opened it, showed her the pages, her own handwriting staring back at her. Dates, numbers, codes, names I didn't know. I asked her what it meant. I asked her who she was working with, why she had a car we couldn't afford, why she was hiding stacks of cash and fake passports. She flinched, like I'd hit her. Her eyes were wet, but I didn't care. I didn't believe her tears. I didn't believe her story about a friend. I didn't believe anything she said anymore. I looked at her, right into her eyes, and asked, "Who are you, Lena?" "Because you're not my wife." That's when she broke. She started crying, big messy sobs, her hands covering her face. She begged me to listen. She swore it was a mistake, that she loved me, that she loved Sophie, that she never meant to hurt us. She said she'd explain everything, but not now, not today. After the wedding, she said. After we got back from Napa Valley. She said we could talk then, work it out, fix everything. But I couldn't listen. Not anymore. Her words were just noise, bouncing off me like rain on a window. I kept thinking about the garage, about the car, about the boxes. I kept thinking about all the times she lied to me. Late nights at work, trips to see family that didn't add up. Her phone, always locked, always out of reach. Every memory was a lie now, twisted by what I'd found. I thought about Sophie, our little girl, so excited about the wedding, about throwing flower petals and dancing with her mom. Did Lena think about her when she was hiding that car? When she was writing in that notebook, planning whatever this was? Did she care about what this would do to our family? I didn't understand. I couldn't understand how she could do this, how she could look me in the eye every day and lie. I didn't believe her tears. I didn't believe her promises. I didn't believe she loved me. Love doesn't hide. Love doesn't build a secret life in a locked garage. Love doesn't leave you sitting at a kitchen table, holding a note that breaks your heart. I stood up. I couldn't stay there, couldn't keep looking at her. I felt like the walls were closing in, like the air was too thick to breathe. I told her I wasn't going to the wedding. I couldn't stand there, smiling for pictures, pretending we were happy. I couldn't act like I didn't know what I knew. She begged me to stay. She grabbed my arm, her voice desperate, saying we could fix this, that she'd make it right. But I pulled away. I didn't want her touch. I didn't want her words. I wanted the truth, and she wasn't giving it to me. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I walked out of the kitchen, leaving her there, crying at the table. The note was still on the table, stained with coffee now, like it was part of our mess. I didn't look back. I couldn't. My heart was too heavy, my mind too full of questions. Who was Lena? What was she doing? Why did she lie to me for so long? I kept thinking about our life together. 8 years. A home. A daughter. I thought we were building something real, something strong. But now, it felt like a house of cards, ready to fall with one wrong move. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know how to face her again, how to look at Sophie and pretend everything was okay. I got in my car and drove. I didn't know where I was going, just that I needed to be away. Away from Lena, away from her lies, away from the truth that was tearing me apart. The wedding was happening without me. My brother, my family, they'd wonder where I was, but I couldn't care about that now. All I could think about was the garage, the note, and the woman I thought I knew. Looking back, that moment in the kitchen was the end of us. Not because I walked away, but because I saw her for who she was. Not my wife. Not my partner. A stranger with secrets I couldn't trust. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew I couldn't go back. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen, unfeel what I'd felt. Her lies had broken something in me, and I wasn't sure I could fix it. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Lena's secrets were out, and I wasn't going to let her hide them again. I didn't know how, but I was going to find out the truth. All of it. No matter what it cost me. I didn't go to my brother's wedding. I couldn't. The thought of standing there, smiling for pictures, laughing with my family, pretending everything was fine, I could barely stand the idea. Lena's lies were too heavy, too sharp. They cut through everything I thought I knew. So instead of driving to Napa Valley, I drove away. Away from the wedding, away from Lena, away from the life that wasn't real anymore. My phone kept buzzing, texts from Lena piling up, begging me to come back, to talk, to let her explain. I didn't read them. I didn't want her words. I wanted the truth. I had the notebook from the garage, the one with her handwriting, full of names, addresses, and dates. It was my only lead, the only thing that could tell me who Lena really was. I didn't know where to start, but I knew I had to follow the trail. I had to dig, to find out what she was hiding, what kind of life she was living behind my back. I wasn't going to let her secrets stay buried. Not anymore. The notebook was like a map to a world I didn't know existed. The names were strangers to me, people I'd never heard Lena mention. The addresses were all over, some in our city, some far away, places she'd never talked about. The dates went back years, some as recent as last week. I didn't understand what it all meant, not at first. But I knew it was big. Bigger than a locked garage. Bigger than a hidden car. Bigger than anything I could have imagined. I started digging. I took the first name in the notebook, a guy named Victor, and an address for a bar downtown. I drove there that night, my hands tight on the steering wheel, my heart racing. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I had to find out. The bar was dark, smoky, full of people who looked like they didn't want to be seen. I asked for Victor, and a guy at the counter pointed me to a table in the back. Victor was older, rough-looking, with eyes that didn't trust me. I told him I was looking for answers about Lena. His face changed when I said her name. He knew her. He didn't say much, just slid me a piece of paper with another name and another address. He told me to be careful. That's when it hit me. Lena wasn't just cheating. She wasn't just lying about late nights at work or trips to see family. She was part of something bigger, something dangerous. A network, maybe. Smuggling. Money laundering. I wasn't sure what it was, but it wasn't small. The names in the notebook weren't random. They were people she worked with, people who knew her secrets, people who were part of her other life. I kept going, following every lead. Each name led to someone else, each address to another piece of the puzzle. I met people in diners, in parking lots, in places I'd never been before. Some wouldn't talk. Some looked scared when I mentioned Lena. But others gave me bits of information, little clues that added up to something I didn't want to believe. Lena wasn't just my wife. She was someone else, someone with a life I didn't know, a life that didn't include me or Sophie. One guy, a nervous type in a cheap diner, gave me the biggest piece yet. He slid a photo across the table, his hands shaking. It was Lena, laughing, standing close to a man I'd never seen before. They were somewhere far from home, somewhere sunny, with palm trees in the background. She looked happy, carefree, like she didn't have a husband or a daughter waiting for her. The guy wouldn't tell me much, just that Lena was in deep and that I should stay away. He said she was good at keeping secrets, good at playing a part. I stared at that photo for a long time. Lena's smile, the one I thought was mine, was there, but it wasn't for me. It was for him, for that stranger, for that life. I didn't understand. How could she do this? How could she live two lives, one with me and Sophie, one with these people, these secrets? That's when I knew. She had another life, another identity. I was just collateral. The guy she came home to, the guy who paid the bills, who took care of Sophie while she was off doing whatever this was. I wasn't her partner. I wasn't her love. I was a cover, a piece of her plan to look normal, to hide what she was really doing. The truth hurt more than I thought it could. It wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. Like I didn't matter. Like our life didn't matter. I kept asking myself, how did I miss this? The signs were there, all along, but I didn't see them. The late nights, when she'd come home and go straight to bed, saying she was tired. The locked doors, the desk drawer she never opened in front of me. The smiles that didn't reach her eyes. The ones I told myself were just stress. I thought I knew her. I thought I understood her. But I didn't. I understood now, but it was too late. I thought about our life together. The early days, when we'd stay up all night talking, planning our future. The day Sophie was born, when Lena held her and cried, saying she'd never been happier. The quiet moments, making dinner together, watching Sophie play in the backyard. Were those real? Or were they just part of her act, part of the lie she built to keep me blind? I didn't know anymore. I didn't know what was true. Every new lead, every new piece of information, made it worse. I found out Lena had been to places she never told me about. Meetings in other cities, trips she said were for work or family. I found out she had bank accounts I didn't know about, money moving in and out, more than we'd ever had. I found out she used different names, different stories, depending on who she was with. She was good at it, too good. She'd built a whole world, and I was just a small part of it, a part she could throw away if she needed to. I didn't understand how she did it, how she could kiss me goodbye in the morning, tell me she loved me, and then go live this other life. How she could tuck Sophie into bed at night, read her stories, and then write in that notebook, planning things I couldn't even imagine. I didn't understand, and maybe I never would. But I kept digging, because I needed to know. I needed to see the whole truth, no matter how much it hurt. The more I learned, the smaller I felt. I wasn't just betrayed. I was nothing. A shadow in her life, someone she used to keep her secrets safe. I thought about Sophie, about what this would do to her. How do you tell a 5-year-old her mom isn't who she thinks? How do you explain that the family she loves isn't real? I didn't have answers. I didn't have anything except that notebook and a burning need to know why. I kept going back to the note. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. Whoever wrote it knew what Lena was doing. They knew enough to point me to the garage, to start me on this path. But why? Were they trying to help me? Warn me? Or were they using me? To get to Lena? I didn't know. All I knew was that the truth was unraveling, piece by piece, and I couldn't stop it. I thought about confronting her again, demanding answers, but I didn't. Not yet. I needed more. I needed to understand the whole picture, not just the scraps I'd found. Lena's secrets were deep, and I was only scratching the surface. But I wasn't going to stop. I couldn't. She'd taken too much from me. My trust, my love, my life. I wasn't going to let her take the truth, too. I understood now. I understood too late, but I understood. Lena wasn't mine. She never was. But I wasn't done. I was going to keep digging, keep following the trail, until I knew everything. Until her secrets were mine. Until I could look at her and know who she really was. I could have gone back to Lena. I could have stood in our kitchen again, held up the notebook, and demanded answers. I could have called the cops, handed them the boxes of cash, the fake IDs, the burner phones, and let them deal with her. But that wasn't enough. Not for me. Lena didn't just betray me. She betrayed Sophie. Our daughter. Our family. The life we built together, the one I thought was real. She took it all and turned it into a lie. I wanted her to feel what I felt. The shock, the hurt, the way the ground falls out from under you when everything you love is gone. I wasn't going to yell or fight. I wasn't going to give her the chance to lie again, to twist her way out of it with tears and excuses. I wanted something bigger. I wanted her to lose what she'd built, the same way she made me lose what I had. Her secrets, her plans, her other life, they were her world. I was going to take that world apart, piece by piece, until she had nothing left to hide behind. I didn't need to destroy her. I didn't need to see her cry or beg. I just needed her world to crumble, the way mine did when I opened that garage door. I had the notebook, the one with her handwriting, full of names, dates, and codes. It was her map, her plan, her everything. I used it against her. I started small. I made copies of the notebook, every page, every detail. I sent anonymous tips to the police, little bits of information about the addresses and names I'd found. I didn't tell them everything, not at once. I wanted it to build, to creep up on her, to make her nervous. I sent copies of the notebook to the people she worked with, the ones whose names were in her plans. I didn't sign my name. I didn't need to. I just dropped the pages in the mail, one by one, to the bars, the diners, the shady offices where her friends hung out. I knew what would happen. Lena's world was based on trust. Not the kind of trust one thought we had, but the kind criminals use. Trust that everyone keeps their mouth shut, that no one betrays the plan. I broke that trust. I planted doubts. If her partners thought she was slipping, if they thought she was careless, they'd turn on her. They'd start asking questions, watching her, wondering if she was the one leaking their secrets. I didn't need to lift a finger. Her own lies would do the work for me. I imagined her getting the first call. One of her partners, angry, asking why someone had their name, their address, their plans. I pictured her face, pale and scared, trying to explain, trying to keep her story straight. She'd built her world so carefully, every lie stacked just right. But I was pulling out the pieces, one at a time. Her perfect plan was cracking, and she'd feel it. She'd know what it was like to lose control, to watch everything slip away. I didn't stop there. I kept digging, using the notebook to find more. I found bank accounts, hidden ones, with money moving in and out, more than we'd ever had. I tipped off the authorities, just enough to make them curious. I found emails, fake ones she used under different names. I sent them to her partners, letting them see she wasn't who they thought. Every tip, every letter, was a crack in her world. I wasn't loud about it. I was quiet, careful, like she'd been. But I was steady. I wasn't going to stop until her lies caught up with her. I thought about her a lot while I worked. I thought about the woman I married, the one who laughed at my bad jokes, who held my hand when Sophie was born. I thought about the late nights we spent talking, planning a future we'd never have. Was any of it real? Or was it all part of her act, a way to keep me close while she lived her other life? I didn't know. I'd never know. But it didn't matter anymore. That Lena, the one I loved, was gone. Maybe she never existed. I thought about Sophie too. Our little girl, so innocent, so full of love. She didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve a mom who lied, who built a secret life that could hurt her. I wanted to protect her, to give her a life where she could be happy, where she didn't have to carry the weight of her mom's choices. That's why I kept going. Not just for me, but for her. Lena's betrayal wasn't just against me. It was against Sophie, and I wasn't going to let that stand. I didn't stay to watch her fall. I didn't need to. I knew what was coming. Her partners would turn on her, one by one. As the tips spread, as the doubts grew, the police would start sniffing around, asking questions she couldn't answer. Her world, the one she'd built with cash and fake IDs and coded notebooks, would collapse. She'd be alone, running, hiding, looking over her shoulder. Just like I'd been, standing in that garage, staring at her secrets. I took Sophie and left. I didn't tell Lena where we were going. I didn't tell anyone. I packed what we needed, put Sophie in the car, and drove to a new town, far from the house, far from the garage, far from the lies. I found a small place, a quiet place, where Sophie could play and laugh and not know what her mom had done. I got a new job, nothing fancy, but enough to keep us going. I started building something new, something real, for me and my daughter. I didn't look back. Lena was out there, somewhere, dealing with the mess I'd made. Maybe she was running. Maybe she was hiding. Maybe she was trying to start over, like me. I didn't care. She wasn't my problem anymore. Her lies, her secrets, her other life, they weren't mine to carry. I'd done what I needed to do. I'd made her feel the weight of her betrayal, not with shouts or fights, but with quiet, steady steps. I'd used her own world against her, and now I was free. I thought about the note one last time. Check your wife's garage. Don't trust her. Whoever wrote it, whoever sent me down this path, I didn't know if they meant to help me or hurt her. But in the end, it didn't matter. That note was the key. It opened the door to the truth, and the truth set me free. It broke me first, shattered everything I thought I had, but it gave me something new, a chance to start over, a chance to be a dad to Sophie, to give her the life she deserved. Betrayal cuts deep. It leaves scars, the kind you feel even when you can't see them. I'll carry those scars forever. The pain of Lena's lies, the shock of her secrets, the loss of the life I thought we had, they're part of me now. But scars fade. They get lighter, softer, until they're just a memory. I'm not the man I was before the note. I'm stronger, wiser. I know what matters now. I'm building something new for me and Sophie. A life where we can laugh, where we can trust, where we don't have to look over our shoulders. Sophie's happy, chasing butterflies in the park, asking me to push her on the swing. I watch her, and I know I did the right thing. I didn't just get revenge. I got us out. I gave us a chance. I understood, finally. I wasn't the one who lost. Lena was. She lost me. She lost Sophie. She lost the family she could have had, the life she could have lived, if she'd chosen truth instead of lies. Her world crumbled, not because of me, but because of her. Her choices. Her secrets. I didn't destroy her. She destroyed herself. I don't hate her anymore. I don't love her either. She's just a memory now, a lesson I learned the hard way. I'm moving forward, one day at a time, with Sophie by my side. We're okay. We're going to be okay. Some secrets destroy. They tear you apart, leave you broken. But others? They set you free. Lena's secrets broke me, but they also showed me the way out. They gave me a new start, a new life, a new chance to be the dad Sophie needs. I'm not looking back. I'm looking ahead, to the days when the scars are just a faint line, when the pain is just a story I tell myself to remember how strong I am.